There is a type of car owner who never lets anyone touch their car. At first glance, it seems simple enough, almost trivial, a small quirk of personality, an idiosyncrasy born from perfectionism or pride. But the truth is far more intricate. This behavior, so seemingly mundane, is not really about cars at all. It is about boundaries, control, identity, and an almost invisible tension between how they see themselves and how they fear the world sees them. It is a window into the complex architecture of human psychology, and it quietly reveals something we rarely acknowledge about ourselves. When you first meet someone like this, the instinct is often to laugh or shake your head. It's just the car, you think. Why does it matter who touches it? But beneath the surface, every refusal to hand over the keys, every flinch when someone reaches for the door carries a story. It is a story of self-signaling, a psychological concept where our actions communicate not to others, but to ourselves. By guarding the car, the owner is signaling, often unconsciously, that they are in control, that they are responsible, that they are someone who values order and precision. Every scratch avoided, every dent prevented, reinforces a sense of mastery in a life that often feels, on the outside, chaotic or unpredictable. And yet, there is tension here. The very act of protecting the car, of creating this invisible boundary, also reflects insecurity. There is an unspoken fear that if someone else touches it, if they make a mistake, if the car is even slightly damaged, it will somehow reflect on the owner's competence or worth. The car becomes an extension of the self, a tangible symbol of identity. It is not simply metal and plastic. It is a carefully curated representation of their values, their diligence, and their sense of order. Allowing another person access threatens more than the vehicle. It threatens their internal narrative about who they are. This behavior also taps into a deeper phenomenon known as cognitive dissonance, the mental discomfort experienced when our beliefs and actions are in conflict. Owners who insist on complete control may tell themselves they are simply protecting the car, ensuring safety. Yet, underneath, there is often an acknowledgement that the intensity of their protectiveness is excessive, even irrational. This creates a subtle tension. They both know and do not know why the behavior matters so much, and yet they cannot relinquish it without feeling exposed, vulnerable, or somehow diminished. And there is a social layer as well. Consider the subtle ways we compare ourselves to others, a process known as social comparison. Seeing another person handle a car with ease or even carelessness can trigger a quiet envy or discomfort. They don't see it the way I do, the owner thinks. They wouldn't understand what it means to me. By refusing access, they maintain a boundary not just against potential physical damage, but against the risk of having their values, priorities, and attention to detail misunderstood, or worse, devalued. But the story does not stop at insecurity or self-signaling. There is also an element of pride, hidden and sometimes contradictory. The refusal to allow anyone else near the car is a subtle, almost imperceptible statement. I am careful, I am precise, I am responsible. It is a form of identity projection, a way to assert moral and practical competence without words. Yet this pride exists in a paradoxical relationship with fear. For the same reason they guard the car, the owner is acutely aware of what could go wrong, of what might happen if someone else is trusted. And so they oscillate, continuously balancing pride and apprehension, control and anxiety, reassurance and suspicion. Memory often weaves itself into this pattern. Many owners carry the echoes of past experiences, perhaps a parent who criticized every imperfection, perhaps a friend whose carelessness caused damage, perhaps some minor accident long ago that left an outsized imprint. Each encounter becomes a story, a cautionary tale, a reason to hold tight, to assert boundaries, to prevent repetition. The car, in these instances, is no longer just a car. It is a repository of lessons, a vessel for caution, a silent witness to the stakes of control. We might also consider the role of scarcity bias. This is the psychological tendency to place more value on things that seem limited, threatened, or at risk. The car, like a rare object or a fleeting opportunity, becomes infinitely more precious simply because it is not freely shared. Each denial of access reinforces its perceived importance, heightens the tension, and deepens the emotional attachment. The very act of guarding, of creating scarcity of interaction, inflates the significance of both the car and the self as its caretaker. And yet, despite all of this internal complexity, the behavior is also quietly philosophical. It is a reflection of human struggle with control, trust, and vulnerability. It reveals a profound tension between openness and protection, between the desire for social connection and the fear of being misjudged. There is a subtle, almost unspoken meditation on responsibility. How much should we allow others to shape our world, our possessions, our narrative, and our sense of self? When does caution become rigidity, and when does pride become isolation? For the viewer, this behavior might feel foreign, even extreme, but it holds a mirror. How many of us refuse to let others see parts of ourselves, not because we are proud, but because we fear judgment? How often do we create boundaries, physical or emotional, that protect an image, a sense of control, a fragile self-assurance? The car is a metaphor, a tangible representation of the invisible walls we erect around our minds and our identities. There is also a subtle social commentary embedded here. In a world increasingly defined by sharing, openness, and collaboration, the fiercely private car owner stands as a reminder of the costs and benefits of autonomy. The insistence on control can be isolating, yet it is also empowering. The refusal to relinquish access is simultaneously a statement of individuality and a reflection of vulnerability, a paradox that each of us navigates in our own ways. It is a microcosm of human behavior, the push and pull of self-protection, the oscillation between pride and insecurity, the quiet negotiation of identity in a social world. And yet, the most compelling layer may be the tension between external perception and internal reality. Outsiders may see a rigid, obsessive, even irrational person, but what is invisible is the intricate choreography of thought, emotion, and memory that produces this behavior. Every gesture of refusal, every flinch, every careful inspection is a communication not to others, but to the self, a reassurance that despite uncertainty, despite potential chaos, the world remains, at least in this small corner, under their careful stewardship. In the end, there is a quiet lesson here. The car owner who never lets anyone touch their vehicle is not merely protecting metal and paint. They are navigating the human need for security, the psychological drive for identity, and the delicate balance between pride and vulnerability. They are enacting, in miniature, the ongoing negotiation between who we are, who we wish to be, and who we fear the world thinks we are. Perhaps the next time you see someone hesitate to hand over their keys, you will pause before judgment. Perhaps you will recognize in that moment a reflection of your own boundaries, your own anxieties, your own subtle efforts to maintain control and self-respect in an unpredictable world. It is a small, seemingly trivial behavior, yet it opens a window into something far greater, a meditation on self, society, and the quiet, complex dance of human psychology. So, the next time you feel an urge to guard, to protect, to assert boundaries, pause for a moment. Consider what it is you are guarding. Consider what it says about you, about your fears, your values, your identity, and ask yourself gently, without judgment, do you recognize this in yourself?